Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow, and we're going to talk about Cardano today. We're going to talk about banking. We're going to be talking about CBDCs. We're going to be talking a bit about regulation, and basically just the kind of a combination of everything that's been going on into one fell swoop of thought and things to look for, as well as emerging technologies that I think are going to be beneficial to people, both from a user adoption perspective as well as a speculative perspective. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So check out murderofcrows.io if you haven't already. They are my babies, my beautiful baby birds, my murder of crows, if you will. You can mint up to 10 at a time, and they've been growing, and I'm super happy to see. It's like they took off really early on, and then they started to lull a bit, I think, as sentiment in the market was changing. And now that things are starting to fizzle and pop again, more and more people have been picking these up. Again, I always say, you're not buying these to get rich. You're buying them because you just love the art, you love the style, you love me, maybe even. I know there's a couple of you out there that do after all these years, so check them out if you will. So checking out Bitcoin, we have broke way above my Wyckoff, and the price is currently sitting now at about $26,000. It needed to break and close above the 25,250, which it's definitely broke above. And if this does not fall all the way back down here and close under it, then I will have considered my Wyckoff pattern bunk. Basically, no more. And it's just the way it is. I mean, there's so much going on with the banks, and we're going to touch on some of that because, listen, I have talked about everything going on right now ad nauseum for years. I mean, if I had the time, I want to go back through all my content where I've talked about regulation, what's to be expected with regulation, the CBDCs, the way crypto is going. I mean, all of this stuff. I'd love to put it together in one big video where I've broken it all down time and time again. It's all happening. I mean, it's all happening. And what else do you say other than it's definitely happening? And I will say that, in the midst of a lot of this stuff, I did continue averaging down, and I'm in a pretty comfortable position in terms of, whatever happens from here happens. And I'm not overly concerned either way. If it goes down even further for whatever reason, I'll be ready to get more. And if it doesn't, I've got plenty. And I'm actually kind of excited about this in a way. I was hoping to get more ADA in the 20s. I missed that mark. And I mean, in the grand scheme, I don't think it matters too much. But picking up Cardano, back in the day at 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, boy, those days were sweet, were they not? And it's very much not likely that that's ever going to happen again. But there's a lot of technologies that are emerging, and there's a lot of stuff. And I'm just going to point you to the direction of some of that stuff here in a minute. But if we're looking at High Block Capital, which I can't say it there. I'm going to have to throw a link in the description of this video. I thought I put one in there. I'm not sure. Some people have used it in previous videos. But High Block Capital, I do have a referral link, so it basically helps pay for my account on High Block. So if you like that I use it and reference it a lot, don't let it get canceled on me. But I've already kind of, expanded the box around the price action right now, and you can see that we definitely peaked up around 26,500. Okay. And then we're starting to slowly work our way back down. And as that's happening, you can see the liquidity levels is sitting at around 23,800. So it's very likely we could get a pullback from this recent pump. But even if we did, 23,000, that would basically take us to somewhere around here, which it's not that big of a deal, really. We can move this up at that point because we obviously broke above that. I'm going to assume we're going to close above the 25,000. I mean, it's still early though. It's 10 o'clock. So we could pull all the way back down under this 25 relatively easily. So it's really hard to say exactly what's to be expected, but let's go on a daily candle. And, you know, I think this Wyckoff is out of play. I could be proven wrong as we get a little later in the afternoon, but as of right now, I think the Wyckoff's being out of play. There's just too much stuff happening in the world right now. And this is how macro factors play into traditional trading. I mean, anything could happen at any given moment, and sometimes things get disqualified, and that's okay. That's okay because it's carried us this far. So I'm fine with it. Now, you know, the high block in the liquidity situation, whack off. No, it's Wyckoff, and it's actually a pretty solid system. I really do like it. I definitely think that looking for confluence in other indications and things like that is always a good idea, especially if you're using a broad system like Wyckoff, and especially when you're trying to play out your patterns and you're trying to figure out what the patterns are, which scheme you're using, and so forth. So anyway, that's what I think could be happening as far as that's concerned. Now, this is something that I want to point out. This is from February, and this is BlackRock starts Metaverse-themed ETF despite waning investor interest. And here's a point that I want to make about what I see in the grand scheme of things. So obviously we have stable coins. A lot of the stable coins, I know there were a couple that were depegged and started losing some value given where we're at in the banking crisis. We've all known this banking crisis was coming. We've seen it coming for years now. And when I look at the grand picture and I think to myself, okay, if I am a major institutional investor, or I am anybody that's trying to invest in a lot of what's going on, and I look at companies like BlackRock, I think, what's BlackRock doing? I mean, outside of everything, I mean, BlackRock owns the majority share. Between BlackRock and Vanguard, they own the majority shares of just about every major corporation in the country. But you also know that they have a very ESG profile, right? When you take BlackRock and its relationship with the World Economic Forum and the what I consider to be the leftist agenda, what are they all after? Okay, well, we know that they're after spending money. They love to spend money. They love to spend money they don't have. They love to spend money we don't have. They just spend money, and they spend money on these ideals, on these ideas for a better, brighter future. But the question is, who is the future better and brighter for? Well, initially them, because they know what they want to do. They know what their agenda is. They know what they're trying to accomplish. They know what kind of companies they're going to be funding and building and so forth. So for them, their grand utopia is keeping us all in our bubbles, right? Figuratively or really, okay? And keeping us active and working and producing somehow, some way. Even if that means just driving artificial intelligence, even if that just means training their machine, as we're already doing. I mean, I use it as well. And I like the Chat GPT. I love the Midjourney. I love all of this stuff. Right now it's fun, right? But at some point it very likely may turn into some sort of pseudo job, along with training other AI models, depending on what they do and what their use cases are. But one of the primary use cases, in my opinion, for what AI is really going to drive is metaverse. Because metaverse technology is something that is, as it continues to build out, we are no longer going to want to leave our homes, go to our local bank branch. We're not going to do a lot of these things because gas is probably going to be too expensive. Electric cars are probably not even going to be that big of a thing in the future. I mean, you can quote me on this. I don't believe electric cars are the future. I just don't. They cost too much and they're very counterproductive in terms of ESG and like the environment. If you look at what goes into building a Tesla, for example, it's not exactly world-saving technology. As it relates to fossil fuels, maybe, and carbon emissions, maybe, sure. But if we're ever going to be in a point where we want to be truly ESG and we want to be, globally compliant and helping the world, we're going to figure out hydrogen propelled vehicles. That's really where the meat is. And they're doing that in planes now. And they're starting to create these hydrogen vehicles that are clean. Okay. And so that, basically building cars that run off of a bunch of batteries is not the thing. That's not it. Hydrogen is where it's at. You want me to rush out and buy a fossil fuel alternative vehicle? Give me a hydrogen vehicle. That's all there is to it. And until we get that, all of this other stuff is just narrative, and it's just pumping money into the pockets of the people that are passing these laws and trying to push adoption for all. I mean, it's all a bunch of gobbledygook. It's just basically the herd being led down another path. And that's ultimately what it boils down to for me. But when I look at metaverse technology, I think of all of the different things that are associated with the metaverse and what a metaverse could mean. To me, a metaverse ultimately means a virtual reality or an alternative reality, like, Ready Player One or any of that stuff. And then I think of Internet of Bodies, because the technology associated with metaverses and metaverse technology is definitely going to be playing into Internet of Bodies and, to some degree, transhumanism. Words that I know many people don't throw around very often, but I've actually read Klaus Schwab's books. I've read where he's discussed transhumanism, smart dust, and basically technologies that can, in some ways, control or influence the physical body through technology. And some ways imposing, some ways less imposing. And if you connect all these dots, and then you see the fact that BlackRock wants to start or is starting a metaverse themed ETF, that tells me money is going to be going into the metaverse. And when it does, that means a complete transition of everything, because we're not going to be doing the same things. If you see right now, people aren't going to work. A lot of people, they're not working their jobs. They're not showing up to the job site. They're not, you see, now hiring signs all over the place. And the idea is that people are not going to go to work the way they used to. People want these cushy jobs. What did we see with Twitter and Google employees? And I make $100,000 a year, and look at my office. Oh, it's beautiful. It hasn't been touched in months. And then they take you into the coffee shop where everything's free, and they take you to this, and then they're pampered. Right? The idea for this whole utopia that they're supposedly building is like this kind of pampered, do nothing but make good money, and kind of further build your sense of entitlement lifestyle. And then I see that a lot. When Elon bought Twitter, he basically fired everybody with an entitlement issue. Like everybody who didn't actually produce or do anything, and they were just kind of sitting around, like I like to say, sucking on the tit of the cow. They're basically they're useless. And a lot of these people are in some cases useful idiots, where they just, they feel like as long as they follow the pack, they'll be led to a better place. But they don't really do much thinking for themselves. So I think that the metaverse is definitely going to be technology. People are not going to work. Are you okay, Crow? Yeah, no, people are not going to work. There are going to be employees, there are going to be workers, but the number of people out and about working a 9 to 5 as we know it it's already down, and it's going to continue going down. Think about it this way. Think of how many people created a big stir around the learn to code comments that were people would post on Twitter. Do you remember that whole fiasco? People were losing their jobs, and there were a lot of, like the last generation, like I don't know which ones they were, the boomers or the boomlets or whatever. I think I'm a boomlet. I don't know. And they were struggling with basically keeping jobs, keeping their work, and they were getting fired and losing their jobs and getting laid off all over the place, and it was creating a big problem. And one of the big things was you had all of these Gen X's, Gen Z's, whoever the hell they were, basically saying learn to code, right? Because the job markets were leaning more into the technology realm and less out of the, and more out of the like build a building and like, a lot of the more manual factory type labor. We have robots that are taking over a lot of that stuff now. So any of these more mundane or manual labor type positions, these are being phased out in favor of robotics. Basically machinery that you don't have to pay benefits to. You don't have to worry about this robot falling off a scaffold. You don't have to, there's just a lot of oversight, overhead, things that they have to account for. So anyway, yeah, a lot of those jobs are being phased out and then some. It's not going to be long until, your coffee shops are probably only going to have like one person operating them. And you're going to have robots basically creating coffee, perfect every time. I mean, I'm telling you, we're getting to that point. But anyway, the point of this is that metaverse technology is going to be one of the biggest winners, I believe. BlackRock's already telling me that. It's just a matter of which metaverse places, worlds, what kind of technology is going to be associated with them? What sort of technologies are they going to utilize within these metaverses in terms of Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies? How are they going to give you the most surreal, most real experience inside these metaverses to keep you hooked? How do they keep that dopamine flowing in this virtual place that doesn't really exist but makes you feel as though you're there? That is where the technology is. Facebook really fucked all that up because they didn't, I don't know what the hell. Here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out, how does Facebook put billions of dollars into a metaverse project and then can it, but I don't even know what they ever did. Where did that money ever go? Like what? Everybody, Zuckerberg put $1 billion into this metaverse project and it's going nowhere and nobody's doing it. Nobody's using it. And I'm like, where did that money go? Like what exactly was built? Does anybody wonder that? Is there more to that story? I'm just asking for anybody that knows, but yeah, I'm curious about that. So anyway, looking at crypto bubbles, you can see it's obviously a green day with the biggest winner right here at 31.8%, CFX, OKB at 17.5%, HBAR is up 6.9%. Zillica's up 9.8%. So basically everything's up. And I was looking at the total market cap. Even Theta's up 8.3%. Dash up 7.2%. Mana, for you Decentraland folks, up 6.9%. Sand up 7.3%. So you've got Sandbox, this metaverse. You've got Mana, that metaverse. And there's more stuff coming. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Now, this is the Cardano white paper. For those of you that don't know and you haven't looked at it, you might want to give it a read, because if you go through and you really start understanding the fundamental values of Cardano and what it means on a grand scale, how it's being built, why it's been built the way it's being built, I think it'll really put things into perspective. And really start to kind of show you why this is likely going to be one of the most adopted blockchains in the future. And I'm going to leave that at that for now. Now let's take a look at some of this other stuff. This is CoinGecko. And in CoinGecko, they have categories for all of the cryptocurrencies. Like here are all the layer one cryptocurrencies and the total market capitalization of those. There's 15 coins in layer one tech. Okay. Smart contract platforms. There's 139 of these. And if we look at the different, like this is the lending and borrowing category. And right now, Liquidity, LQTY, currently trading at $3.50, up 63.5% over the last 7 days. Kava's number 3 at this, up 44.7%, currently trading at $1.18. I remember when I covered Kava years ago when it first launched, and it's been doing exceedingly well. I don't even remember what the price was back then. Was it like 5 cents or something? I don't remember, but that very well could have been a missed opportunity on my part because I don't think I bought any of that. I don't think I did. But anyway, but even Celsius Network, which surprises the hell out of me, is up 8%. Up 12% over the last 24 hours alone. So you can see that there's a lot of demand in the lending and borrowing fields. Now, let's take a look at Internet of Things. This is pretty big deal, but and we're seeing some substantial price action, but the volume is really low on Internet of Things technology right now, which this tells me to some degree, when you've got something priced at a fraction of a penny, with a 26.1% increase in volume. Let's go ahead and make these a little bigger so you can see a little more clean. That might help. Oh, no. What's happening? Cloudflare. Yes, I'm a human. Okay. I don't know. This website, CoinGecko's been acting a little weird for me today, so I'm not sure what's happening. This is artificial intelligence, and this, in my opinion, is just going to be absolutely huge. I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller for it all to fit. So, Inheritance Art, currently trading at 58 cents, up 37.8%, but there's only 82,000 in volume. And so when I look at a lot of this stuff and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's a lot easier to move the price when the volume is low, and the market caps are small. Quade, it's basically trading at a penny, up 7.7%, trading volume $235. Those don't mean anything to me. Okay, that just doesn't mean much. I can go and pump the price up myself 50% in 2 minutes, and it's not a big deal. Matrix AI Network, I guess it's trading at 4 cents, trading volume 595,000. I mean, we'll see what happens with that, but that was dead to me a long time ago, and I'm going to have to dive into that and see what's going on. Deep Brain Chain. I mean, a lot of these projects in AI are from like 2017, and they never amounted to anything. They didn't do anything. So it's going to be challenging to dive into some of this stuff. And the thing of it is regulation continues. As regulation continues boiling out the banks and the stable tokens and all of that, here's the grand thing that I'm getting at. I'm just going to basically break it down. The regulation, CF, all of them. Okay. I can go through all of them. In my humble opinion, these regulatory bodies are absolutely going to, they want to get rid of the stable coins. And as they get rid of the stable coins, they want to introduce CBDCs. All right. These CBDCs are very likely going to play a role in Metaverse. A lot of the technologies that we start growing in adoption for, Metaverse applications, staking, DeFi, yield farms, all of that. I believe that there's going to be a day when we are only able to enter and exit these things using CBDC tokens. That's it. The thing of it is these CBDC tokens initially are only really going to be able to have some sort of quote unquote blockchain trail from blockchain addresses. I do believe that there is somebody building a system out there somewhere that is going to be like a universal wallet system. There has to be. In order for the tracking of these CBDCs and all of the other crypto projects out there, that kind of system has to happen. I don't know how many of you follow me way back in 2017. But how many of you, do any of you remember when I kind of laid out a white paper and a plan for ultimately what like a universal wallet based system, one of like the first DeFi applications before DeFi was really even a thing? I don't remember. It was called Zempa. Do any of you remember that? A big part of the epiphany that I had in the middle of the night one night was when I had created this whole plan for DeFi before DeFi existed. I wrote it all out. I posted it all over the place. Nobody understood what the hell I was trying to do. Nobody got it, and nobody cared. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. And then I continued pushing forward. But yeah, I mean, I was working on something like that, and we're going to need something like that. We're going to need a grand decentralized multi-wallet, universal wallet system. Okay. Now, in the midst of all of this, as we're continuing to move forward and everything going on, I think we're going to start seeing some significant changes in the tokens that are allowed to remain. And here's what I mean by that. How many blockchain tokens are there right now? There are 22,905 different cryptocurrencies. Out of those almost 23,000 blockchains and those 23,000 cryptos, how many of them do you believe have any actual value whatsoever to anyone? And that poses a problem. Why? Because as the like you can see Bitcoin's dominance of 44%, Ethereum's dominance 18.9%, Cardano's dominance is probably somewhere around 4 something percent, I'm guessing. The problem is that when all of these shit coins that are launched and gather a bunch of money and a bunch of capital, but then they fail, they ultimately become meme tokens. But what else happens? They end up algorithmically traded by bots, which takes money out of legitimate applications and projects and continues pumping it in and out of these shit coins that shouldn't even still be existing. And the thing of it is a lot of exchanges, they're traded, they leave a lot of these listings on their platforms as long as they're getting volume. So if trading bots and algorithmic bots and so forth are programmed or set up to trade these applications or trade these basically crap tokens, because the algorithm that's programmed into them says, well, the price is here and it's from here and we should trade it. And I feel like a lot of the price action on a lot of these crap tokens are A, pump and dump communities, or B, algorithmic trading bots. They should just be canceled altogether, because that frees up the capital for the legitimate projects that are still working. That should honestly be a part of regulation, in my opinion. Some of you may disagree and you say, oh, that's too much control, let it fall where it may. Well, no, because if we want the valid, legitimate projects that are in the crypto space to continue doing well and growing in adoption and growing, we have to get rid of the shit that has come and gone, that obviously have failed. They're not doing GitHub commits. The team has completely went away. There's no development. There's nothing new coming for years. Those projects just need to be wiped out of the space and cataloged. That's what I think needs to happen. I believe at some point we're going to start seeing more of that. But ultimately, I'm a little bullish, I think, from here. I think anything could still happen. And if we do close down on this daily candle, if we end up closing below 25,000, then we could still be in play with this Wyckoff. But I'm kind of assuming that we're not going to do that. So let's take a quick look at comments and we'll see if there's anything going on before we sayonara out of here for the day and I get back to work, because I'm going to start doing some deep dives into some of these projects. And I know that today's video is a little discontorted, like it wasn't like a steady train of thought. There's so much to it. And I definitely want to do a video at some point where I'm outlining very specifically what's going to happen and what I think is going on. Because there's no such thing as a decent salary for decent work. No, not necessarily. Hello, Crow. I finally got you on a live. Well, congratulations. Welcome. I work in healthcare for Medicare populations, and it's incredibly busy on my end. Healthcare. Okay. So here's the thing. The jobs that healthcare positions, that's a totally different story. Okay. I'm not counting healthcare. I'm not counting jobs that you can't really replace with an algorithm or a robot. All right, that's what I'm talking about. House building, we have 3D printed houses now. We have companies now building houses with 3D printing cement. Okay, we have the number of jobs available today, with as technology continues to grow, the number of jobs are going to continue to diminish unless you're in the tech space. Tech and medical, those two, if you're a developer of any kind, if you're a programmer, if you're somehow in tech or IT, you're probably going to be good, because as the world continues to get taken over by AI and robots, it all needs fixed. Okay. So, but from there, I believe that we are transitioning into a period where, jobs, earning money, all that stuff is going to be earned through Metaverse. That's it. And I'm not saying it's going to happen by tomorrow at noon. I'm just saying it's coming. Still got a crush on Crow, Daniel J. Well, glad you're here. Your voice tone is for trailers on Hollywood. I work on Hollywood movies. We need this tone. Yeah, well, I've heard that many times in the past, but nobody's ever called me for a job. So I hate my own voice personally. When I hear my voice, I just kind of cringe. When I see myself, I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is about me, but I think my, I don't know, self-confidence. I don't know what it is, but I don't really think too fondly of myself sometimes, especially now as an older guy. Crow has another chance to tweak his charts. Yes, and I did. I mean, to me, the Wyckoff patterns are living. They're living patterns. It's not like I'm saying, okay, the price is going to go here and then it's going to go here. It's not like that. It's more about direction and flow. So yeah, that does change. I mean, when one thing peaks out in one direction or the other, you basically put a dot on it and you move on. But the grand scheme is, does the price move above or below particular price points through the pattern? That's what discounts or confirms a particular scheme. So yeah, I'll adjust my Wyckoff stuff here and there. What about engineering? I graduate in a few weeks and will be a manufacturing engineer. I don't see AI taking over. What about you? Engineering, again, to me, it's almost like IT. If you're designing or developing engineering, engineers are always going to have a job. Now, I mean, to some extent, with the way AI is changing, I mean, we may very well get to a point where we tell the AI system, hey, design me X, and then you just see it all drawn out right in front of you with measurements and all, and then you're just tweaking it through voice tech. I mean, honestly, that's coming. At some point, all of the technologies, what was it? Was it Star Trek, where they would just go in and the system would just create their dinner for them? I can't remember. Was it the Jetsons? I don't remember. But, I know that there's some show out there that, basically your food, everything was synthesized. It was like it would take the atoms, the molecules, whatever, and it would basically create whatever it was that you wanted. And so you ordering a meal was basically saying, fabricate this particular blend of molecules into this particular dish, and it did. That's coming. I mean, all that stuff is coming. Doesn't it go down more than next week's? It could. Sorry, Crow, you're wrong about construction. You can't print a roof on or get AI to fit a kitchen. We'll see. I hope so, but we'll see. Check out Singularity DAO in regards to AI projects first. Okay, it was the Jetsons. Are you talking about Spy Kids, the movie? I don't think so. I'll tell you, what? My wife and daughter and I watched Pitch Perfect last night. That's such a cute movie. For those of you, it's cheesy and it's tongue in cheek, but my daughter loved it. There are some innuendos and things, and she doesn't like a lot of that like stuff if she sees it, but she really liked that movie. So we're gonna make a thing out of watching the trilogy, and it's probably just gonna be a thing for us. But we love the Pitch Perfect movie. So anyway, it's totally unrelated, but I was just letting you guys know. Yeah, this big over loves Pitch Perfect. So yeah, I mean, that's it. I just kind of wanted to share some thoughts on what's going on. I mean, Cardano's obviously been moving up. What's it currently trading at right now? 36 cents. Yeah, it's getting closer to 37 cents, up 11.66%. Bitcoin up 15.7. Obviously, we know Bitcoin goes up first. I think we're likely going to, I think it's likely we get another little bit of a pullback from here because, but how low we go, I'm not 100% sure, but anything is truly possible. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this. I want to see, do we maintain this and close above this level on a daily? If we do, then debunk, start over, clean, shake the etch a sketch, and let's see where we're at. And if we don't, well, then we don't. But just know, I guess a part of me doing this video is to kind of let you guys know that I am going to be doing some, because I'm looking for some new buys. I'm looking to make some riskier investments. Maybe $1,000 here, $1,000 here. And then I'm going to keep everybody abreast of what I am doing. And I might just try to build like a $1,000 portfolio or something like that, where I say, okay, I bought these 10 coins, and I bought $1,000 into each of them, and here's why. If you guys are interested in something like that, because I feel like to some degree there's some focus being lost because of the banks and all of that. We all know this stuff is coming. And it was difficult to put into words. I'm afraid to get too riled up. So, and if I don't just let it flow and my head gets super hot, trying to mince words and trying to like, it's difficult sometimes for me to, anyway, and it's still early, so I might start doing more videos later in the day, like I used to, about 1 or 2 o'clock. So, all right. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know in the comments below, though, like what I'm very interested in: artificial intelligence, blockchain stuff, level 2s, dApps, whatever. So let me know which ones you think are some of the best ones for me to look into. And, was the other one obviously Metaverse, but I think Cornucopias is really going to take over the Metaverse realm. I think the way, honest to God, I think what Cornucopias is starting out as right now, I think it's going to change over time into becoming more and more of a true metaverse for people, because the way that these guys think and the way they're building their world and their system, I think it's going to be prime for expansion and prime for a lot of opportunity. So I'm definitely very, very big on Cornucopias. Some of the other Decentraland, I've never even walked around in Decentraland, so I don't really know. For whatever reason, it's never really grabbed me that much. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And we'll go from there. Make sure you pick up your Murder of Crows NFT in the meantime. And if you get one, link it in the comments. Let me see it. I'm curious, because I love to see which ones go out to which people.